all, and thank you for joining this week's hot topic. We are talking about water safety, and with me this week I have a special guest, Emma Fraser. Hello, Emma.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Emma, could you just start by introducing yourself, maybe a little bit about what your role is and how long you've been working for the Fire Brigade for?
Okay, well, I work in the policy and projects team, but I am the water safety lead for London Fire Brigade. I've been in the Fire Brigade for 15 years now. I've been doing the job that I'm doing for about 3. And I think the thing that I love most about water safety and the job that I'm doing is the people that I work with. There's some lots of very passionate people, both within our organisation, but also in other organisations. And we all work really closely with the same aims to reduce the number of drownings.
That's amazing. And your work is so key, and that's really clear to all departments across the brigade, is the work that you're trying to promote, especially with water safety, is really key. I think living in London, sometimes we can almost forget about water safety, because we don't have a beach nearby, we're not necessarily directly on the coast, but actually we have a lot of canals, a lot of reservoirs, as well as the River Thames, which is a really rapidly flowing river. So what we're going to talk about today could actually be really helpful and actually life-saving to some of the people that are watching this. So we're going to ask questions in a minute, and trust me, people watching, you are going to want to hear these answers because it could be life-saving. So we all know that safety is paramount, especially when it comes to water safety. Emma, could you give us a quick insight into the work you carry out to promote water safety internally inside the brigade and also externally to the public?
Okay, so as part of the water safety team, there's a couple of us who are core team members, but it's not just us that do the work. It is every single member of the fire brigade out there. We have station commanders, firefighters, everybody gets involved where they can, whether we're talking about an event on a station or whether we're talking about a big multi-agency national event. We like to engage with the public and pass on our key messaging, but also a lot of the work is behind the scenes, about getting things changed, about getting planning laws changed, taking into account water safety, but also raising its profile and trying to get people to realise the importance of it.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And we thank you for the department that you work in and the policies and the projects. Are such an important department in the brigade. And I'm hopefully through this, the messages that you guys deliver daily will come out as well. And specifically during lockdown, people are now going for more walks around their local areas. They may be taking walks down the canals. And these next few questions, I think, are really going to highlight some of the key issues that they need to be aware of when doing that. You know, it's fine to go for a leisurely stroll, but it's just about being aware of our safety and how we should carry out and go about certain things when we come across them. So we have some questions sent in by our cadets and our volunteers and other members of the public. And we think we've whittled it down to just 5 questions because we think these questions are vitally important.
Yeah.
Emma, the first question is, what does the fire service do if they respond to someone in the water?
Okay. So the first question, I suppose, from that is the fact that what people want to know why we're involved. It's not immediately obvious, especially to the public, because we're known for fighting fires, obviously, but we do a whole wide range of other rescues and interventions. So the reason that we do water safety is because we're obviously involved in rescues, and as you've sort of alluded to, what they, the way that the fire brigade interact is that if they're called to a person in distress in the river or any of the waterways, on all of our waterways across London, the fire brigade are the main point of contact, apart from the Thames, where we do that jointly with the RNLI. So what you might not know is that all of our fire engines have a throw line on them. so we can carry out rescues from the land. All of our fire crews, every single firefighter has been trained to use a throw line. We can also inflate hose pipes. So the big hose pipes that the fire engines have, they can be inflated and they can be used to rescue someone if they're in difficulty. In addition, so we have 102 fire stations that you might already know. 10 of those are what's called, they have fire rescue units, and they have water rescue capability, which means they have an inflatable, it's like a dinghy, but with an engine that will go out, and they can rescue you from a lake or a pond or the canal, wherever you happen to be in difficulty. And then on a bigger scale, we have actually on the Thames itself, because it's completely different waterway, we have the fireboat, and the fireboat can rescue people, and it also can put out fires from the river. And we work very closely with the RNLI and the police and the London Ambulance Service to make sure that we can rescue people.
Superb. And I think that's one key thing you touched on there is people think about the fire brigade and all they think about is fires and possibly cats stuck up in trees. But, you know, when we think about it, we understand all the different capabilities of rescues. And I suppose we're probably one of the only fire brigades that is called a brigade rather than a fire and rescue service.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're saying, Emma, the stats on UK drownings, are we now at the 4th highest in the UK when it comes to drownings in London now?
Yeah, which is quite scary considering that we haven't got a coastline. So our sort of key messaging around that is about making Londoners and those who visit London safe when they making sure that they are safe when they're living, working and visiting London. But also the fact of the other side of it is making sure that even if you don't have a waterway near you, that all Londoners are aware of water safety and to keep themselves safe when they're elsewhere in the country, or indeed if we can at any point go abroad.
Superb. Yeah, and you're right in saying that. The second question is, what can our young people do to stay safe when they are near water?
Okay, I think the key message here is to stop and think. So there are several points to that. So it's about whether you actually go in the water or not. I know it's really tempting and it's really hot that you want to go for a swim. However, if you do that and you don't know the waterway itself, you could put yourself in great danger. There are many dangers within the waterways. So there could be currents underneath that you don't know anything about. The strong currents. Could be the fact that the water's not as deep as you thought it was. The Thames, for example, has a 7-metre difference between low tide and high tide. So if you're jumping in thinking that's how you've got plenty of depth of the water, and that's not always the case, and that can cause sort of serious injury and death. Obviously, you also don't know what's in there. I mean, we've done some walks recently around canals, the canals in London, and found out the fact that actually when they've been dredged, they've had all sorts of things in there. You've had bites, as you can imagine. There's all sorts of stuff, interesting articles that are pulled out, and you wouldn't want to jump in on that. You could quite easily injure yourself. And there's other things to consider. There's things like waterborne diseases, such as Weil's disease. So it's just about thinking. It's not trying to ruin people's fun. There are areas where you can swim. But I think at this time, especially during the current times, you need to think about whether it's safe to go there, because many of the areas that previously had a lifeguard don't anymore.
Superb. And what you touched on there is really, really important, I think, in terms of, we're not fortunate enough, I suppose, to live in a country with beautiful turquoise see-through water and our canals and the River Thames tends to be quite murky and muddy and dirty. And you're right, you can't see what's beyond that water. So, even a metre underneath could be something that could potentially harm you. And And that's something to really, for our viewers here, to really look out for and think about before you go for a swim. Where are you swimming? Is it safe to swim there? And be sensible. Don't be like these YouTubers that you see online. When they hit 1 million subscribers, they jump off into the River Thames. That's absolutely ridiculous to be doing that. So please stay away from those things. Although you see it and you may think it's funny or whatever it is, think about the precautions. Think about actually they're putting their life in danger when they do that. And an emergency service is then going to have to be called, and resources, money, time spent because of that decision that young person or elderly person made. So just to be careful around that as well. So thank you for touching on that, Emma.
Yeah.
Question 3 is, what do I do if I fall into water?
Okay, so the natural reaction for everyone if you fall in the water is to panic. Or it could be a case that actually you were intended to be in the water. But one of the things that you need to be really aware of is the fact that all the waters in the UK are cold enough, even on the hottest summer day, are cold enough to cause cold water shock. Especially this time of year as well, because it's had a whole winter of getting cold, the water. And even the strongest, most competent swimmers can succumb to cold water shock, and cold water shock can kill. So one of the things that you need to do, so your initial reaction is to panic, is to try and get yourself out. But actually what you should do is follow the RNLI's float messaging, which is to take a breath, to calm, to relax. You put your arms out and you go in a starfish, basically. Lie on your back. And what that does is that lowers your heart rate. It allows oxygen to get to your muscles. It means that you're not gasping and taking on water, and it gives you time to self-recover. So it could be a case that you are able to call for help, or it could just be the case that you're able to swim to the shore or to the river bank. It is very much about letting your body recover, because the cold causes your muscles to restrict. It causes it to look after your main organs, and therefore it causes muscle cramps and hypothermia and stops you being able to move. So it's really important that if you fall in, or if you get into difficulty suddenly when you are in the water already, that you just take that time, relax, starfish, and yeah, that'll help save your life.
That's superb, and life-saving advice there, Emma. I think, you know, and you know, as you said, the initial reaction, your body's shock reaction is, I need to catch my breath, I need to swim, I'm now, what am I doing? I need to get back to safety. And all of a sudden your head is you know, you're thinking about 10 different things, your body's shocked, you're trying to save yourself. And actually the best way to save yourself is to just lean back, take that breath, and allow your heart rate to calm down. And I think what you said there and the way you've explained it is absolutely fantastic. So viewers who are watching, please do remember that. You know, if you do fall in, calm yourself down is the first thing we need to do. Look at the RNLI website and have a look at the way that they speak about how you should calm yourself down and what you should do during cold water shock. Fantastic. And that leads us into our next question, actually, Emma. What do I do if I'm walking along and I see someone else fall into the water? Okay, so your
key points there are, whatever you do, do not go in after them, because then what ends up happening is that we need to rescue 2 people as opposed to 1. Your most important role in getting somebody out safely is to phone 999. And then depending on where you are, whether you're at the coast and it could be the RNLI or the Coast Guard that come, or it could be us if it's on an inland waterway. If you call 999 and say where you are, try and pick out landmarks to say best where you're located. And then whilst you're on the phone, make sure you step back from the edge, because what we don't want is you accidentally falling in. You need to keep an eye on the person so that you can see them at all times. Even if you lose sight of them, make sure that you keep looking on that spot where you last saw them. That gives the emergency responders, so whether that's the fire crew or the Coast Guard or the RNLI, it gives us the starting point where to search if we can't see that person immediately, and that valuable time can allow us to save lives. I think the other thing is to make sure if there's any kind of rescue equipment nearby, whether it's a throw line or whether it's a one of the life rings or anything nearby that you can throw to the person, then try to do so. But it's about making sure that you're safe, because if you go in after them, you can't tell the fire crew where you lost the person, and actually we could be looking in completely the wrong stretch of the river. So yeah, so they're the most important things to do.
And that's a really, really helpful point there, because I think sometimes we always say to us, ourselves, oh, that would never be me, that would never be me. And when it is us, we know what to do. And if it isn't us, but we're there when someone else happens to someone else, we know how to best care for them. Specifically when it comes to a friend or a family member, there's almost a more of an urge to get in that water and get them out. And actually, the advice you're given there is the best way you can help that person is to look around, look for landmarks, call 999 straight away, ask for the fire brigade, ask for the correct emergency service, explain what's happened, stay calm as well to help the other person in the water stay calm. And if you are aware of what to do during cold water shock, maybe advise the person in the water what they need to do in order to calm themselves down.
Absolutely. So if you can advise them about floating, absolutely. The other thing just to add in is if it's a pet, the same advice goes, do not go in after them. The majority of the times the dog will get itself out anyway, but call if you're concerned, call 999. Don't go in after them. And we have this message, this message is stay nice. If someone is nice, we have cases where someone's dogs run on. So what we don't want you to do is do the same, because you'll put yourself in danger. So yeah, again, we're happy to rescue animals out of the water, but we'd rather do that than rescue you as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Emma, for answering all of those questions. I know we put you on the spot, we grilled you, we found out all there is to know about water safety, and the information you have given us and our viewers is absolutely vital. It's really important. And as you said before, don't think about London and think you don't have to worry about water safety, because you do. As we said, the stats now, we're the 4th highest in terms of drowning numbers in the UK, and that is shocking compared, when you think about we're not near a coast, we're not near a beach, but the canals and the River Thames can kill if you fall in. And the information that we have given today is one that you really need to take home, chew over, do some research on the RNLI website, and find out for yourself how to stay safe around water. But that's all for this week, and thank you for tuning in to this week's Hot Topic. Emma, thank you so much. You've been absolutely amazing.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, if you want more information, we've got lots on our on the LFB website as well. And we can, thank you for having me.
No worries, superb. And people at home, stay safe and have a good week. Bye-bye.